There's a specific kind of silence that follows a message like that. Cold. Still. Almost sterile. I was standing in line at the pharmacy, holding a prescription for migraines I hadn't even filled yet. My head had been pounding for weeks, but nothing could have prepared me for the pain that bloomed after reading his words. You're no longer needed. No context.
No explanación.
Just 6 words. Sent at 3:14 p.m. 18 years of marriage, and that's how it ended. My name is Rachel Carter, and until that moment I thought my life, while not perfect, was at least secure. I thought my husband Derek was just going through a rough patch. He'd been distant lately, sure. More business trips. Late nights. Unexplained meetings. But I brushed it off. I made excuses for him. For us. Maybe that's where the betrayal started. With me. Making peace with crumbs when I used to be a feast. That evening I didn't call him. I didn't text. I didn't drive to his office or storm into our bedroom. I sat on the edge of our bed, my side, and stared at the framed photo of our 10th anniversary trip to Seattle. We looked so happy. He had his arm around me, forehead touching mine like we were sharing a private joke. That man loved me. Once. Didn't he? I picked up my phone again. No new messages. Nothing to soften the blow. I tapped his name, hovered over the call button, and stopped. What was I even going to say? That I didn't deserve this? That I'd been loyal? That I gave up career offers and a social life and parts of myself I don't even remember anymore? But none of that mattered to him. Because he'd already made the decision. The next day I woke up to silence.
No snoring. No footsteps. No coffee brewing.
His side of the bed was untouched. The closet doors were ajar. And the things that should have been there. His travel bag, his cufflinks, the tie I got him for his last promotion were gone. That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't temporary. He had planned this. I stumbled into the kitchen, sat at the island, and stared at the white envelope with my name on it. Rachel. No honey, no hi, no baby. Just Rachel. Inside was a typed letter. Brief. Legal. Detached. I've already filed for divorce. There's no need to talk. Everything you need is in the envelope. A few lines down were financial documents, a breakdown of accounts, and a separation agreement. It was clean, prepackaged, like a business transaction. He had turned our life into a spreadsheet. That afternoon, I got a call from my sister Emily. Rach? Are you okay? I just saw Derek's post. My throat clenched. What post? She hesitated. He changed his relationship status. It says, in a relationship. The world spun. I opened his profile, something I hadn't checked in weeks, and there it was. A filtered photo of him and a woman I didn't recognize. Younger. Blonde. Effortless. They were at some rooftop bar in LA smiling like teenagers. The caption, New beginnings with the woman who makes life worth living. I dropped the phone. The following week, I did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into our shared email account, the one we use for family events, bills, and vacation planning. He had stopped using it months ago. I figured he just made a new work account. But part of me, something feral and furious, needed answers. That's when I saw it. An archived folder. Labeled only Graybird. Hundreds of emails. Some dating back 2 years. And every single one was from her. Vanessa. She wasn't just a fling. She was the plan. They had coordinated weekends. Trips he claimed were for work. She even helped him pick out the new condo he was renting downtown. She knew about me. She knew I existed. And she didn't care. I sat there frozen, heart hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. And then, buried deep in one of the threads, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Once she's out of the picture, we can finally breathe. I don't want to sneak around anymore. I want our life, no secrets. His reply. It'll be handled soon. She won't see it coming. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. He didn't just leave me. He erased me. I didn't cry. Not then. Tears were a luxury I couldn't afford. Instead, I printed every email. Every itinerary. Every receipt. I made copies. I backed up files. I didn't know what I was going to do with them yet. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to be erased quietly. And just when I thought I'd hit the bottom, something else surfaced. something that made everything worse. A name I hadn't heard in years. Marcus. He was my ex-fiancé. The one before Derek. The one who left without closure. His name was in one of Vanessa's emails. Does he know you used to be with Marcus? That'll be fun if it comes out. And Derek's reply? She doesn't have to know everything. I've got it under control. Wait, what the hell did Marcus have to do with any of this? I couldn't stop staring at the screen. Marcus. My past. My first heartbreak. The man I almost married before Derek. He had disappeared a few weeks before our wedding with nothing more than a voicemail and a coward's silence. And now, nearly 2 decades later, his name was sitting inside an email thread, casually mentioned like an afterthought by the woman who had taken my husband. I opened that email again. I reread it a dozen times. Does he know you used to be with Marcus? That'll be fun if it comes out. If it comes out, there was something buried there. Something I wasn't seeing yet. Why would Derek care if I used to be with Marcus? Unless he already knew. Unless this wasn't some wild coincidence. I pulled out an old photo box from the attic. The one labeled before Derek. I hadn't touched it in years. Inside were faded prints, ticket stubs, little pieces of a life I used to live. And in the center was a Polaroid of me and Marcus. At a jazz club in Chicago, arms wrapped around each other like we belonged that way. My hand shook as I held it. He was the first man I ever loved. And the first man who truly broke me. I stared at his smile, and 1,000 unanswered questions came rushing back. Why did he really leave? Why didn't he ever reach out? And what was he doing tangled in this? By the end of the week I had found him. Marcus worked for a real estate firm in Portland now. Still unmarried. Still using the same business email from years ago. I didn't know what I was going to say. But I needed answers. I sent him a short message. Subject: Closure. Marcus, it's Rachel. I know it's been a long time, but I need to speak to you. It's about something serious. Please. I didn't expect a reply. But one came 5 hours later. Rachel. I didn't think I'd ever hear from you again. You have no idea how many times I've tried to write something. Yes. Let's talk. We met in a small cafe near my sister's place. When I walked in, he was already there. Same soft eyes, a little older, a little sadder. Time had reshaped him, but the shadow of the boy I once knew was still there. He stood up. Ray. That old nickname hit me like a punch to the gut. I didn't sit. Not at first. Why did you leave me? He looked down. Because Derek told me to. I blinked. What? I didn't know at first. I didn't know who he really was. But he paid me $20,000 to disappear. To leave you. I thought it was your dad at first, trying to protect you from a starving musician. But when I pressed, it was Derek. He said you deserved better than someone like me. My hands trembled. That doesn't make sense. I didn't even know Derek when you left. Marcus nodded slowly. That's what I thought too. But he knew about you. He knew about our engagement. And when I tried to come back a year later, I found out you were married to him. I sat down hard, my head spinning. Derek orchestrated Marcus's disappearance. Before I ever met him, before he and I had even been introduced at that conference in D.C., he already knew who I was. And he had already decided he wanted me. He eliminated Marcus to make room for himself. This wasn't just betrayal. It was obsession. It was control. And now, 20 years later, that same man had discarded me with a 6-word message and handed my life to a woman who was helping cover his tracks. I started piecing it together. Vanessa worked in corporate law. She had access to records, financial details, private investigators. If she'd been working with Derek this whole time, maybe they were building something far more manipulative than just a new relationship. I went back into the email backups. Looked deeper. And there it was. A document labeled, Premarital Agreement Rachel and Derek. Except I never signed a prenup. I opened it. My signature was there. Dated 2 weeks before our wedding. But it wasn't my handwriting. I grabbed an old birthday card I'd written him and compared the signatures. It was a forgery. They had forged a prenup to block me from his retirement accounts, from property rights, from spousal support. All of it coordinated. All of it illegal. And Vanessa? She notarized it. I had proof now. Not just betrayal but fraud. Real prosecutable fraud. Still, I wasn't ready to confront him yet. Not until I had more. Not until I could burn down his illusion. So I reached out to a lawyer. Quietly. A friend of Emily's. I gave him everything, the emails, the document, the timeline. His eyes widened as he flipped through it all. You could ruin them with this. I nodded. Not yet. I want them to think I'm broken first. I want them to get comfortable. And then I want to make them feel everything they made me feel. Marcus walked me to my car that night. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't pretend to be a hero. He just said, I didn't fight hard enough for you. But I will now. Whatever you need. I nodded. Stay close. This isn't over. And as I drove home, headlights slicing through the dusk, my phone vibrated. It was from an unknown number. I know what you're doing. Stop digging. No name. No context. But I knew who it was. And that meant they were nervous. Good. I didn't sleep that night. The anonymous message played on a loop in my head. I know what you're doing. Stop digging. It wasn't a threat, it was a warning. But warnings only work on people who are afraid. And I wasn't afraid anymore. I was done being quiet. Done being erased. Done playing the role of the wife who disappears gracefully while her husband rewrites the ending. They thought they could control me, that I would shrink and disappear like smoke. But smoke rises. And this time so would I. The next morning I took everything I had, emails, forged documents, timelines, and compiled it into a digital folder. I saved 3 backups. One on a flash drive I wore around my neck, another hidden in a password-protected cloud drive, and one more given to Emily with a simple note. If anything happens to me, open this. She didn't ask questions. She just nodded. Then I began to move. I played the part of the broken wife. I made a public post about taking time to heal, accepted a few pity-filled invites to wine nights, and let the world assume I was simply licking my wounds. Meanwhile, Derek and Vanessa were flaunting their new life like it was the season premiere of some shiny new series. They hosted a cocktail party at Derek's new condo. I wasn't invited. Of course not. But Marcus was. He walked in wearing a tailored blazer, nodded politely at the doorman, and slid through the crowd like a man who belonged there. He sent me a voice memo later that night. She was nervous. Vanessa kept watching the door. Kept asking if I'd seen you. Derek was drunk. Real drunk. Said something about how he handled the prenup years ago so you couldn't touch his investments. I recorded everything. You'll want to hear it. I did. And when I heard Derek's voice slurring out the words, she was never supposed to find out. I knew we were getting close. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Marcus called me from a payphone. I didn't even know people still used those. Ray, listen. Vanessa's not just someone he met at work. They've known each other for longer. Way longer. What do you mean? He hesitated. I found something. An old email on her LinkedIn history from 10 years ago. She interned at his firm long before she ever started dating him. Back when you were still married. She was a junior associate, he was a senior VP. There was a complaint filed against him back then. It was dismissed quietly. But the initials on the form. VL. Vanessa Langley. She wasn't just the other woman. She was groomed for this. I dug into court records. Quietly. Privately. Found a sealed report from HR. It didn't name her, but the timeline matched. Same firm. Same year. Same building. And a note from the summary page. Subject's involvement voluntarily withdrawn. NDA signed. So that's how it started. Vanessa wasn't a stranger. She was a setup. She was chosen. Maybe she thought it was love. Maybe she thought she was winning. But now? She was drowning with him. 2 days later, Derek showed up outside my house. He didn't knock. He didn't call ahead. He just stood on the porch like nothing had happened. I opened the door halfway. Why are you here? His eyes were bloodshot. Can we talk? I laughed. Talk? Now you want to talk. He shifted. Things are messy. I didn't expect you to dig through everything. I kept my face still. And yet here we are. He leaned in closer. I just want this to end quietly. No drama. No court. Ah, there it was. The real reason. You mean no exposure, I said.
No headlines.
No police reports. No career damage. I'm offering you a deal. My stomach turned. Another forged document? Or will this one come with a bow on top? His jaw clenched. Careful, Rachel. This can go bad for everyone. I leaned in just enough for him to feel the heat of my words. Good. I want it to. Then I closed the door in his face. That night I got another message. This time it wasn't a warning. It was a mistake. An email meant for Vanessa, forwarded to me by accident. It was from Derek. She's bluffing. She doesn't have anything. Just keep her distracted until I can freeze the accounts. He was trying to cut me off financially. Again. Except this time I was ready. I called my lawyer and gave him the go-ahead. File everything. Fraud. Forgery. Perjury. And then I sent a little message of my own. I attached the forged prenup, the notarized timestamp showing Vanessa's involvement, and the audio recording Marcus had made from the party. I sent it anonymously. To Derek's firm. To the Bar Association. To Vanessa's managing partner. And to a journalist friend Emily knew from college. 3 hours later, Derek's phone blew up. He lost his position at the firm. Vanessa was put on indefinite leave. And an internal investigation was opened. But that wasn't the satisfying part. The satisfying part came when he called me. The man who once told me I was no longer needed was now on his knees, figuratively of course. Rachel, we need to talk. I pressed record.
No, Derek.
You need to listen. But just when I thought I had won, another name surfaced. Not Marcus. Not Vanessa. A woman I didn't know. A name buried in a financial ledger tied to Derek's offshore accounts. The transfer was labeled
Trusty Beneficiary Camille D.
Camille? Who the hell was Camille? And why was Derek hiding money in her name? Back home I handed everything over to my lawyer. He stared at the files in disbelief. Rachel, if we go forward with this, he won't just lose his firm. He'll lose everything. His licenses. Possibly his freedom. I nodded. I want him to know what it feels like to be discarded. The media got wind of it 3 days later. Someone leaked the investigation. Could have been the Bar Association. Could have been Camille. I didn't care. All I knew was that Derek's name was trending for the first time. And not in the way he'd hoped. Top finance executive under investigation for fraud, asset concealment. Leaked emails suggest orchestrated scheme involving multiple women. He tried to do damage control. Vanessa disappeared from social media. He issued a bland statement through a PR rep. But the damage was done. His clients started backing out. His firm distanced themselves. His face, once proudly displayed on magazine covers and corporate ads, was now being quietly removed. Then came the call. It was Derek. His voice sounded broken. You win. I didn't reply. He tried again. You got what you wanted. You ruined me. No, I said. You ruined you. I lost everything. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. You lost what you threw away, Derek. You just didn't think I'd be the one to pick it back up. He hung up. And that was the last time I heard his voice. But the story wasn't over. A week later, Emily came over with wide eyes. Turn on the news, she said. I did. And there he was. Derek. Standing outside a courthouse. Next to him, a woman. Holding a child. The reporter spoke quickly. Derek Carter appeared this morning alongside a woman claiming to be the mother of his child. Allegedly conceived during an affair while he was still married to Rachel Carter. Sources say a paternity test is underway. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. He had a child. With someone else. And never said a word. That account under Camille's name? It wasn't just a trust fund. It was for them. A week after the hearing, I woke up without the usual weight on my chest. No vibrating phone. No documents to review.
No courtrooms. No lawyers.
Just me. And quiet. It felt strange. Like I'd stepped out of someone else's nightmare and back into a life that used to be mine. Only now it was blank. No plan. No direction. No voice whispering you're needed here. Because that's what Derek had really taken from me. Not the house or the years or even the child he hid. He took away my place. My sense of mattering. But the truth was, I had always mattered. I just gave that belief to someone who didn't deserve to hold it. Derek's charges moved forward. Fraud, forgery, tax evasion. His license was suspended. His reputation destroyed. Vanessa never came back. She vanished from everything. Camille's testimony sealed the financial crimes, and Jasmine's paternity suit became part of public record. But I didn't follow every update. I didn't need to. I had already seen enough damage. The thing about revenge, true revenge, is that it only satisfies you if it changes you. And it had. Just not in the way I expected. Marcus and I stayed in touch. Carefully. Slowly. He didn't try to fill space or fix things. He just showed up. He helped me sell the house. Helped me donate Derek's things. Helped me breathe when the air got too tight. We never talked about getting back together. We didn't need to. Healing wasn't about returning to the past. It was about building something after the ruins. And for now, friendship was enough. One afternoon, I was sitting on my sister's porch sipping tea, when a small boy came running across the lawn with a ball. He looked about 6. He had Derek's eyes. Jasmine followed behind him, cautious but smiling. We'd agreed to meet. One time. For closure. She sat beside me watching him play. I didn't bring him for sympathy, she said. I brought him so you could see he's not the villain's prize. He's just a child. Innocent. And if he ever asks about you one day, I want to be able to say that you forgave us. I nodded slowly. I don't blame him. I never did. She exhaled in relief. He has no idea what happened, and I want to keep it that way. You should, I said. He deserves peace. As I watched her son play, something inside me settled. Not everything broken can be repaired. Not every story ends with justice. But some endings are simply a new beginning wearing different clothes. 3 months later, I opened a letter. No return address. Just my name. It was from Derek. The handwriting was shaky. Rachel, I know you'll probably burn this, and I won't blame you if you do. But I needed to say it. You were the only real thing in my life. And I threw it away. Not for love. Not even for lust. Just because I was too afraid to be seen by someone who truly knew me. You weren't perfect. But you were present. And I see now how rare that is. I don't expect forgiveness. But I hope one day, you'll remember the good moments and know they were real. At least for me they were. I lost everything. But losing you was the beginning of that fall. You didn't deserve it. I'm sorry. D. I didn't burn it. I didn't reply either. Some things are meant to be read, absorbed, and left behind. Today I live in a smaller house. In a quieter town. I teach part-time at a community college. I go on long walks. I take myself out to dinner. I've learned how to be alone and how to like it. Marcus visits sometimes. We sit in silence. Comfortable. Maybe one day that silence will grow into something more. But I'm in no rush. I still remember the day he sent that message. You're no longer needed. And I smile now. Not with bitterness but clarity. Because I was never the one who wasn't needed. I was just misplaced. Ignored by someone who couldn't recognize value unless it wore a suit and smiled for cameras. Now I am no longer erased. No longer small. No longer trying to fit into someone else's life. I am needed. By me. And that was the most satisfying revenge of all.